KJ and Lyons on WEEI.
I guess maybe there's some things I don't agree with, but also know there's rules, and we also want to win. We want to make the tournament and have the best seat that we can. So I don't like it, but I understand.
What part of it do you not like? It's kind of running up the score?
Yeah, running up the score. I get the point differential, but it just feels weird. Kind of like you're kind of disrespecting the game and your opponent, especially when, I mean, obviously they do what they want. They didn't have their starters in, but it just, like I said, it feels weird, but I also understand it.
Second hour of KJ and Lyons on WEEI. Good Saturday to you. 617-779-7937. Text line 37937. That's Celtics Drew Holiday saying, I get it, but I don't like it. John, this in-season tournament, I think, is going to end up being a financial windfall for the league, but a disaster for the players who have to pull off what the Celtics had to do against Chicago earlier this week. It is an embarrassment to the game.
Yeah, and look, it's the first year they're doing this, so I expect there to be some tweaks because the point differential thing, I know there has to be some sort of tiebreaker, but I just don't love the way that played out. I also think, look, it ended up being okay for the Celtics. What would our conversation be right now if Jason Tatum had broken his ankle in a 28-point game with a minute to go against the Bulls last Tuesday night? You know what I mean? Like that's a huge risk there. And also, I want to get your thoughts, KJ, like the structure of it. How they it takes a few weeks on Fridays to do the pool play, and then you finish the pool play, and then you still have that regular season game in the middle, and then you have the quarterfinals. I don't know. I feel like it's a little spread out for me.
Well, here's the thing. Sometimes you can't apply European taste to America, and vice versa, right? We like ketchup on our fries. You don't mess with the pommes frites in France, right? So, look, in soccer, if you follow the English Premier League or La Liga in Spain, everything is a group. Everything are standings by points, right? And if you're going to do this, then there has to be some form of relegation for it to make sense. That's why you have the points chase. It makes no sense to have a points chase and no relegation. The NBA doesn't do relegation because it doesn't have a second or third division where teams can graduate up. That's why I think the NBA tournament is kind of dumb. The in-season tournament is dumb. Now, the only thing that I think it would be smart would be if you have a team full of players that let's just call it what they just don't make the typical NBA salary, then you would say, well, yeah, I would think they would really get up for that. Probably that's why their Magic almost won the division. That's more money in their pocket. But when you look at some of these other teams that just are done, like the Raptors, the Hornets, the Wizards, the Trailblazers, the Grizzlies, all with players on teams that, they could use a couple extra 100,000s or maybe millions to win this tournament. So again, in a league where even the money portion of it isn't intrinsic value of getting this job done, you mentioned about, hey, what if Tatum went down with a busted ankle? Hey, you do have Jaylen Brown with a tweaked groin still trying to manage his way through that from that Toronto game.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So again, is it more important to protect the product? Because this isn't the NBA product. Let's just call it what it is. This is not the NBA product. Good for the Denver Nuggets. You know what? They're eliminated. Do you think this is going to hurt their chances getting to the NBA Conference Finals?
The one benefit for me, and I would apply this to the Celtics, is when you have a team with new players and new pieces, it is, I guess, higher stakes or higher pressure minutes than your typical regular season game, and it gives them a chance to experience that together. Now, of course, with Porzingis being out, they only got to do it a little bit with him, but Drew Holiday got some of those minutes with, and I know him specifically, he's an NBA champion, he doesn't need it, but with some of the other guys, like Peyton Pritchard, got some of those minutes, Hauser did, that to me is the only bet. A team like Denver, you're right, they don't care about the in-season. Would they like another $500,000? Sure. But, in the grand scheme of things, they just won a championship. They don't need this. Miami's another one. You think Miami, they'd like to win the in-season tournament? Sure. Do you think they really care that they're not going to be in the quarterfinals? I don't think so, because they know that they can go toe-to-toe in a playoff series with pretty much anyone, and they can play together. So the only benefit, for the Celtics and for teams like them, and I'd maybe put Phoenix in that group too, if you have a new star or two or a new big piece of your rotation, it is a little bit higher pressure minutes than, say, your typical regular season game. So I think that can have some value.
If you're going to do something like this, then you would probably say, okay, Do we take a longer NBA All-Star break and put it inside of the All-Star break? Do you do something like that where it's just kind of like a single elimination tournament? Then okay, maybe that has a bit of interest. I don't think these should be games that count towards the schedule, right? Because you're rearranging the schedule for your own personal gain, the NBA. Because here's the thing. The Celtics at 3-1 and the Milwaukee Bucks at 4-0. The Celtics have given one game to Milwaukee in any type of 1-2 standings. You see what I'm saying? When it comes down to who's going to be
and for me, like I look at it, I wish it wasn't so spread out. Like I wish it was, and I'm okay with accounting towards the regular season standings if it's closer together. Like we had the Celtics playing in-season tournament games like 3 weeks ago, and then we had it finishing the pool play just this week, and now the quarterfinals aren't till next week. Like I would like to take a 2-week span of the season, late November, December, whatever, and say, hey, this, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Monday, you're going to do your 4 pool play games. Quarterfinals are on the following Thursday, semifinals Saturday, and then finals, Monday or Tuesday. So it's just like a 2-week span, and that's all you're doing. Because I think last night's Celtics game was kind of an awkward spot where they had come off that end of pool play Tuesday night. That was,
playing too many minutes.
Yeah, playing too many minutes, and everyone's talking about that game. And then all of a sudden, you have to play a 76ers team, which is, okay, they don't have Embiid, they don't have Maxey, so you come out kind of flat, and you have your eye on the quarterfinal game coming up next week. So
Sixers are out of the tournament.
Yeah, so like you have this awkward regular season game smack dab in the middle. Like I didn't like that. I'd even say like the night before Thanksgiving, like the Celtics played well, they beat the Bucks.
Bucks, right?
That was like in between tournament games from the previous Friday to the day after Thanksgiving with Orlando. Like I don't like how it's spread out like that, and you have this random regular season games, for lack of a better term, just sprinkled in between these in-season tournaments. Like even think about other leagues, other levels that do in-season tournaments, whether it's college basketball, even high school basketball, but other sports, they do them all together. Like we're seeing right now that ACC
smaller number.
And you're right, that's fair. I get that. But like instead of doing it in a weekend, like the ACC, SEC, face off, whatever it's called, they're doing now, you could just do it over 2 weeks and account for Like I don't like how spread out it is.
I think if you're going to do it kind of in a Pro Bowl manner, right? Like if you have during the NBA All-Star weekend, I think that's when you do it. Just stretch it out to a whole week. You play single elimination games. If you have a player that is in the NBA All-Star game, they are exempt from playing in the tournament. I say the winning team collectively gets $10 to $15 million, right? So now you have other players who are going to have to step up. So let's say you're the Celtics. Well, Brown's probably not going to be in the tournament. Tatum is not going to be in the tournament. There's a chance that maybe Drew Holiday is voted in and he's not in the tournament. Porzingis. Maybe.
But at least he's in that like you may not have any of those guys.
Right. So you're going to put a Celtics team out there that says, you know what? If we can pull this off, we can win $10 million just pretty much for these role players who now have an intrinsic reason to do it. This is why the NFL Pro Bowl game had to go away. There was no value in it. No one wanted to play it.
I do wonder though, like if you have an in-season tournament that doesn't count towards the standings, do the players just say, "Screw it, we're not going to play it," even with the money prize, because now you're making them play extra games, higher risk of injury, and it doesn't count towards the standings. Like I don't hate your idea, KG. I wonder though, would the players' union push back against that?
I'm surprised they haven't pushed this away like a kid with peas on a plate. Why are we? I think the only reason why they're having to do it is because they've slipped in. Well, these are regular season games technically, so
and you get that little financial reward.
Yeah. Okay. What is Brown's contract? $60 million.
Yeah.
What is another like? Yeah. What is another 500,000?
Cornette,
that doesn't even
Hauser,
pay taxes.
Pritchard, like guys like that, it matters more.
Right. But as a coach, if I'm Mazzulla, I can't really just stick these guys in here knowing if I have a loss, this is going to count towards whether we'll be one or two. See, now, good thing that Milwaukee doesn't have its stuff together yet, and the Celtics seemingly do. But you don't want to give up free games. Giving up a free game to Orlando, even though in the last couple of years you'd say it's not a free game. You give up a free game to Orlando in this in-season tournament, and this in-season tournament suddenly gives you one more loss in conference where it might come down to a game or two. Think about how it was last year. What was it? The second to last game of the season, the Celtics were sitting in third, and by the time the final game was played, The Celtics were 2. I think Celtics
Didn't that
moved
happen
to 1.
2
Yeah.
years ago too?
Or
Like
2
the
years ago,
last
yeah.
week of the season, they went for, and we were all like, "Oh, that means you're gonna have to play Milwaukee in the second." And they ended
Right.
up, I think, with the 2 seed.
That's
and
what it was, yes.
They beat Milwaukee anyway, but that we were all debating, hey, are they going to go for it? And then you play
Right.
Milwaukee second round, Miami,
Potentially
conference
drop down to 4.
and
right.
there was a lot of people critical of that because they're like, oh, wow, the Celtics aren't going to beat both of those teams back to back. And they did, but I think that was, you're right, that came right down to the last 2-3 games of the season.
617-779-7937. Text line 37937. We get to your calls next here on KJ and Lyons. Right now it's time to trend with Nico.